But do you know the word Bukan Penerima Upah before you came to join us?
No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe I should explain from Bukan Penerima Upah and Penerima Upah
Yeah.
to start. Okay, let's start. Penerima Upah, PU and BPU, right? So in English, it's called a wage earner, right? And then this is non-wage earner. So what does it mean by wage, upah, and then non-upah? So wage is something paid by the employers, and then this is not paid by employer. That's the difference between penerima upah and upah. But you may then think, what about a partnership? What about the contractors as freelancers? So in that case, you are categorized as a non-wage earners. Partners and any other freelance usually categorized here. You don't have a staff contract. You are not binded by the staff regulation of the company. So you are not here. If you are a freelancer, so that's a Bukan Penerima Upah, BPU. But here, people are covered by in the legal term, labor law. Under the labor law in Indonesia, 2003, number 13, that's the Indonesian Undang-Undang, that's the labor law. There, Penerima Upah is protected more than Bukan Penerima Upah. For example, maternity leaves are given to Penerima Upah, but not for BPU, because in theory they don't have an employer. They are self-employed, they are working alone. So in a way, they have freedom, flexible working hours, etc., but they have less protections by the labor law. So that's a PU, the difference between PU and the BPU.
What are the examples, maybe? PU and BPU.
So here, freelance, partners, and I don't know, whoever take a contract and then deliver some products and get paid in return instead of hourly wage, monthly wage. So if you go to the office and even you don't produce anything, you still get paid by the company. That's upah. If you don't produce anything, you will not get paid if you are become penerima upah. That's my understanding in general, and then that's how it works in this country, Indonesia, as well, in my view. So in the labor law in Indonesia, there are only two categories of workers in these countries, BPU and the PU. There are no other categories. So for example, ojol drivers unions are trying to create possibly new categories as a partners. That's one discussion. First category, second category, and an ojol category as a partner. That's one discussion. But some unions are trying to be penerima upah. In that case, Gojek platform or Grab as a platform will become as an employer. In that case, that's one way for this discussion. The second way is remain as BPU. A third category that some of the unions are trying to promote is to create the totally different category specific for the platform workers. New category workers. So new rights, they need new rights, new arrangement. For example, they want to work flexible hours, not binded by the working hours, but they still want minimum guarantee, for example. These people, BPO, doesn't have a minimum guarantee. But this discussion on creating a new categories for platform workers is to create somewhere between. Need flexibility in working hours, but also need minimum guarantee, minimum social security benefit, minimum maternity leave benefit, etc. So the similar discussion also takes place for the domestic workers bill, RUU RPT, PRT. So if the government create the new law on that, probably they are creating a new category. So the issue here is also they are not here, but they will create a new law. So that means there will be another category for that specific workers. So is that good or bad? That's another discussion. If their entitlement is similar to this one and addressing a flexibility for this specific categories of workers, probably that is beneficial for domestic workers. But if this new law and regulations regulate lower labor standards than this one, I'm not sure if that's a good sign. So in short, there are two different categories now, but the discussion on platform workers and the discussion on PRT may try to establish a new categories of workers. So we may have to carefully watch their entitlements in the law.